Good day everyone, so it's currently Kokomi's rerun here in 3.8 and there has been a bit of negative community sentiment towards her, trying to discredit the character. So if you've been paying attention on the various forums and so on, you would have heard a very interesting phrase that keeps on popping up, and that is to say that Kokomi's only meta teams are in Hyperbloom and Ayaka, and other than that she's just a side grade. And to me, that's a very weird sentiment because empirically we know that there are so many different Kokomi teams that you can play and that you can get very good consistent results with, but also the data itself does not back up the sentiment. So here we are on AKASHAData.com. I really love what the guys are doing here. They've got a relatively decent sample size of AR60 players, giving us all sorts of interesting statistics on full star clearing rates, flawless clear rates. It's just statistics galore, and it's just so fantastic. And one of the things that they've obviously compiled is this idea of a usage rate, and we can see here Kokomi is sitting at a 68.2%. In fact, we can do even better, and for Kokomi we can look at her usage rate across time as well, and you can see on average she sits at about a 60% usage rate. And this in and of itself tells you that Kokomi really has been used by a lot of people, and obviously this is her third rerun already, so more and more people have the character. Now at this point you might tell me that usage rates are garbage. Okay, what about full star percentage rates? How about that? Yeah, you didn't expect me to pull up a new statistics that you didn't have a 1010 video to reference and try and make a little cheap argument to try and dismiss it. No, unfortunately there are many different ways we can assess a character's value. Usage rate is one of them, their appearance rate is another, full star rates is another thing, and arguably from a meta perspective this is what you want to see. You want to see full star rate percentage. If I have this character in a team, am I going to get my full 9 stars? That is what matters from a meta perspective. Yes, if we look at, for instance, Kokomi versus Xingqiu, as you can see here, Xingqiu does indeed have a higher usage rate than Kokomi, but just barely so. So I cannot say in good faith that Xingqiu is better than Kokomi, or that Kokomi is only a side grade, because you can see there are clearly instances where Kokomi has outperformed on a usage rate basis, but on a full star basis as well, Kokomi does sit higher. So here you can see Kokomi in the blue greenish color. So Kokomi has a higher full star percentage rate than Xingqiu, but arguably both of these rates are fantastic, and it just tells you that Kokomi and Xingqiu and Yelan are all pretty freaking decently good units. It just means that if you get Kokomi from a meta perspective, we can see that there is enough data to back up this. Now, the other thing that I quickly want to talk about is this idea of meta, most effective tactic. I think this is a term that has had quite a lot of abuse because, in my opinion, the only thing that matters in Genshin Impact is your full star clear rate, because that is what is intrinsic to the game. You get your 9 stars and that's it. How you get it, how fast you get it, and what fancy way you get it, none of that matters. All that matters is, do you have a full star clear rate? And yes, there is a bit of an argument to say that if you can do so flawlessly or consistently between different spiral burst runs, then you have a solid unit. And arguably, I would argue that Kokomi does fit this bill. She does have a very high rate, like we discussed earlier, in terms of the full star rates and so on. So from a meta perspective, from the perspective of you achieving the internal or what's intrinsic to the game goal of getting 9 stars, Kokomi certainly does deliver. I also would like to point out that, as some people have tried to criticize me in my latest video, Kokomi can be used in Hyperbloom variants, and funnily enough, she does have a higher full star rate. So you can see here are some interesting variations, Hyperbloom variations that can be used in the second half, which are also obviously inclusive of Kokomi. Yes, you've got a lower appearance rate because of the fact that Kokomi is mostly used on the first half, which kind of makes sense, but I just want to point out that you can still get good results from a Kokomi in a Hyperbloom scenario. And arguably, you might even say that between Kokomi, Yelan, and Shinshu for a Hyperbloom, all of these are going to be relatively in the same ballpark. It's not like you have Shinshu at 100% and Yelan at, let's say, 95% and Kokomi only at 60% effective team damage in Hyperbloom. No, I honestly would think that the numbers from, if you had to do this using theory crafting or simulations perspective, would be a lot closer than a lot of people would give credit for, and that would just tell you that Kokomi is not just a side grade but a very good substitute if you want to free up those units for the other floors, or if you just like Kokomi and just want to use her with your other favorite characters. So let's say you do like Nahida, then using your Kokomi, Nahida, Yaemiko is a perfectly valid strategy. From my perspective, Kokomi is such a good versatile unit, and it's funny how people try, specifically against Kokomi, try to undermine her credibility. I don't know what it is about the Genshin Impact community, why they've got this thing against Kokomi. I don't know whether this is perhaps due to the fact that a lot of people hated on the character. They laughed with all of the people on Twitch and while they were streaming, saying Kokomi is jack of nothing and terrible character, and now they have to face the reality that this is a good character and it doesn't make them feel good. I'm not sure why there's hate against Kokomi. All I can say is I love the character. She's pretty awesome, and outside of Nilobloom and Ayaka Freeze, you have so many different ways of using her, slotting her in. That's more than just a side grade. That you can honestly meaningfully say that if I use my Kokomi, I can get a full star rate, because honestly, that's all that matters. Everything else is just an external motivation. Right, that is what I have to say. Thank you guys for watching. Cheers.